This video is brought to you by Squarespace, a website builder committed to you and your website needs.
Kid, they'll do whatever you want. Why don't you go to a concert? Hey, you four can see you too. Because I'm getting old. Are you kidding? My insurance company sent me a half a calendar. You kid, no respect from anybody.
In the 80s and 90s, headlining a sitcom seemed to be the goal of many stand-up comedians. For years, the desired career path seemed to start by performing in nightclubs, then getting an agent, then booking a guest spot on Carson, and finally starring in a sitcom the following year. But for every one of those success stories, there are dozens of similar sitcoms that quickly came and went.
More than you know.
Remembered by those who were fortunate enough to catch one of only a handful of their episodes. Take Bless This House, for instance, a sitcom that starred Andrew Dice Clay as a U.S. postal worker that ran for just 16 episodes.
We need more room.
Hey, the kids each have their own bedroom, there's a living room, a kitchen. In China, this would be the Ponderosa.
Or Paulie, a vehicle for Pauly Shore that was yanked from the schedule after just 5 episodes.
Well, from now on, you can call me Mommy.
Even some sitcoms that were actually pretty good found themselves swiftly canceled, such as Daddy Dearest, which centered around Don Rickles and Richard Lewis as father and son, that was canceled after 10 episodes despite warm reviews.
I'm gonna change, Stephen. I really am.
You promise?
Absolutely. Just keep me away from Porky and Benny Hanna over there.
To combat this, it seemed like networks started throwing comedians into high-concept sitcoms in the hopes that the gimmick would draw in audiences. As was the case with Fox's Charlie Hoover, a show that starred Sam Kinison as the inner conscience of a middle-aged man played by Tim Matheson.
What's in that sandwich? My God, it stinks. It smells like someone crawled in between two pieces of bread and died.
But a year before Charlie Hoover debuted, NBC tested the waters with their own high-concept sitcom that featured a very similar concept, centering around a popular stand-up comedian who magically appears to offer guidance to the main character, who in this case was a 14-year-old boy, and the comedian who magically appears before him was Rodney Dangerfield.
Hey, take it easy, will you? You got me right in the touche.
Yup, you heard right. A sitcom about a 14-year-old Rodney Dangerfield superfan who has the ability to conjure up the near 70-year-old comic like a genie.
Hey, my name is Rodney, not Jeannie. Do I look like I live in a bottle?
Titled Where's Rodney, this project would have been considered bizarre based on the premise alone. But that's before you even take into account that despite this show being conceived, marketed, and built around Rodney Dangerfield, in actuality he would only be a small part of the story, appearing in just 5 of the pilot episode's 22-minute runtime.
That doesn't sound like much fun.
This at least works with the show's title, as when watching it you'll be asking yourself,
Where's Rodney?
Apparently his supporting role was a contractual thing.
You know why? I didn't put it in writing.
In a 2010 interview, one of the show's co-creators, Cy Rosen, said this: contractually, Dangerfield could be in each episode only for a minute and a half, so he was always clutching a stopwatch. It was bizarre and terrible.
Hey, look at the time, huh?
For years, it wasn't even known who had created this show, as both Cy and fellow creator Phil Doran used pseudonyms in the credits of its only produced episode.
It reminds me how wonderful it is to have a winning team.
Anyway, it's unclear whether this limited screen time clause was Rodney's doing, or if it was done as a workaround to a deal he had with a rival network. I'm leaning more towards the latter, as news articles from the time suggest that Dangerfield was passionate about the concept. I mean, this was a time when comedian-fronted sitcoms were all the rage, and when Rodney was at the height of his popularity.
Arby's treats me like a star. With the $5 value roundup, I get to choose 3 beef and cheddars, or 4 regular roast beefs, or 5 barbecues for $5. And tell the cook this is low-grade dog food, all right?
So, what went wrong?
You know, I've been asked this same question hundreds and hundreds of times. What's the question?
The earliest mention I could find of this project was in a newspaper article from July 1989 that reads, Rodney Dangerfield's NBC Rodney series is now being called The Rodney Dangerfield Show, and executives from NBC, Hanna-Barbera, and Aaron Spelling Productions are discussing modifications of the half-hour show. This is the latest evolution of the program that was first developed as an animated series. As it now stands, The Rodney Dangerfield Show will be a live-action sitcom, produced jointly by Hanna-Barbera and Spelling, and will debut as a mid-season replacement series in January. A little backtracking revealed another article that states Hanna-Barbera was setting up a TV show with Rodney as early as 1987. If I had to speculate, I would imagine that the original concept would have looked similar to the 1988 Ed Grimley cartoon, also produced by Hanna-Barbera, and would have most likely featured Rodney voicing a cartoon version of himself.
Hey, I should talk.
Some early reports also state that the project was originally to be titled Young Rodney, which suggests it might have been similar to a show that would air just a few years later, Life with Louie.
I would like to say bad things about Rodney, but you'll hear plenty of that, and most of it is true.
While Hanna-Barbera had produced live-action TV shows in the past, this would be their first involvement in a primetime sitcom of this scale. Though I am surprised they stayed on after the animated aspect of the show was dropped. I would assume this was most likely due to Rodney beginning to develop another animated project, Rover Dangerfield, at around the same time, which itself ended up facing numerous production delays and rewrites before being quietly released in 1991.
No respect. No respect at all.
Rodney had also earned himself a bit of a reputation of being difficult to work with, after he had dropped out of starring in both Caddyshack 2 and The Scout at the last minute, citing dissatisfaction with the scripts.
That's right, it sucks.
After it was decided that the format would change from animation to live action, new concepts were pitched to Rodney. At a certain point, Aaron Spelling got involved. Once a pioneer of the industry, the then 67-year-old Spelling had been struggling to find his next hit after The Love Boat concluded in 1987.
They're getting old. It's not easy. You gotta show them some respect. I know, I'm in the same boat.
NBC brought him in 1989, and he started working on different pitches for the show. The one that Rodney seemed to respect the most would see him playing himself, acting as a mentor to a teenage boy coincidentally named Rodney.
Rodney Dangerfield? Is that really you?
Hey, kid, who are you?
My name's Rodney, too.
Is this a coincidence or what?
Who also happens to be a Rodney Dangerfield superfan.
They're having a Rodney Dangerfield Film Festival. Who's that?
This plot might seem a little strange in hindsight, but at the time, Rodney had a huge following amongst male adolescents, mostly due to Back to School and his album Rappin' Rodney.
Friends don't call, my phone don't ring. I don't get a break with anything.
Even so, I seriously doubt that there were any young boys who had this many posters of him on their bedroom walls, or photos of him in their lockers.
What happened was I talked him into playing with me.
Stay out, you sicko! We don't want your kind in there.
As a digital creator, it's been really important for me to find a website builder that I can rely on to best connect with my audience, which is why I am so excited to be partnering with Squarespace for today's video. I'm sure you're familiar with their name, but are you familiar with just how committed Squarespace is to elevating your brand? Well, let me tell you how. Squarespace provides all the essential tools needed to succeed in launching a website. Whether you're an entrepreneur in need of an online store to sell products, or an independent creative looking to showcase your work, their customizable layouts will help you easily create an online space that feels unique to you and your brand, no matter what your website goals may be. I've used site builders in the past that quickly overwhelm me with their confusing navigation and clunky design, but that hasn't been the case with Squarespace. Through their interactive Blueprint AI, I was guided through a series of expertly crafted colors, fonts, and layouts to choose from, quickly allowing me to achieve my vision. Their user-friendly features also help me seamlessly integrate YouTube videos and audio feeds into those layouts, which is vital to my brand. Other website builders have made this process so complicated, but Squarespace made it so easy to navigate. They also provide a vast library of stock images, which was so helpful in adding variety to my website. Have you been debating launching a website of your own? Well, now is the time. Head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to www.squarespace.com/hatsoffentertainment, and you'll save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. I assume the concept of the show came from co-creator Cy Rosen, as he had previously created a similar short-lived sitcom called Roomies in 1987, which had centered around a former drill instructor, played by Burt Young, being forced to share a college dorm room with a 14-year-old boy genius, played by Corey Haim.
I was having a nightmare about taking the Spanish midterm. I must be going nuts. I don't even take Spanish.
A premise clearly inspired by Back to School, as Burt Young had also appeared in that movie.
I knew I should have graduated.
Now, inasmuch as the show was to be a star vehicle for Rodney, it would also be a showcase for a rapidly emerging young actor, Jared Rushton.
Who's that?
Who had stolen scenes in two of the biggest comedies of the late 80s, Big and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
What if I can't sleep?
It's probably better if you don't.
Another performer from the latter, Amy O'Neill, also joined the cast as Rodney's older sister.
I'm going out to eat. Can't have a date.
Oh, yeah? Well, what's his name?
Names are important.
I know. Humor me.
Spit.
Is that short for spittoon?
What's his last name? Spray?
While stand-up comedian Jay Thomas was cast as Rodney's father, and actress Jane Daly as his mother.
Hey, listen, after you're done with your homework, why don't we all go out to the movies?
Great. What do you want to see?
I don't care. I plan on making out with your mom.
Idiot. More Chekhov.
Just once. I'd like to hear some good news.
Other cast members included a young Breckin Meyer, and Punky Brewster herself, Soleil Moon Frye, as Rodney's friends.
I tell you, it's not easy being me.
Yes, it is.
One of the most inspired casting choices, in my opinion, is Thea Vidal as Rodney's teacher.
I just know I don't want to be like everybody else. I can relate to that.
Thea, herself a rising comic at the time, made her TV debut just 1 year prior on Rodney's HBO special, and later headlined her own short-lived sitcom.
I gotta get bigger actors.
At some point during its production, the show changed titles yet again, now being named Where's Rodney, a title they don't let you forget, reciting it 7 times during the show's theme song.
Where's Rodney? Where's Rodney? Where's Rodney? Where's Rodney? Where's Rodney? Where's Rodney? Where's Rodney?
Somebody, will you shut the fat little bastard up?
The series would have centered around the younger Rodney, who on the eve of his 14th birthday is struggling to find his identity.
I don't even know who I am. I'm like 5 different people, and all of them are flunking.
His only notable personality trait is his adoration of Rodney Dangerfield, even dressing like him.
Oh, it looks good on you, though.
When he can't find the courage to ask out his crush, he inadvertently summons Rodney Dangerfield to help.
Well, as long as you're here, there's this girl, and I want to ask her out.
In all of his scenes in the pilot, Rodney basically delivers a best-of compilation of some of his classic stand-up bits.
Girls always gave me a hard time. There was one girl, she told me, come on over, there's nobody home. I went over, there was nobody home. One time I took out a belly dancer. She told me I turned her stomach. I don't trust the girl I'm with. I mean, she's been picked up so many times, she's starting to grow handles. Tell her you love her eyes, her lips, her hair, the way she parts her hair. In fact, tell her you love all her parts. Let's go while we're young.
And just as inexplicably as he arrived, Rodney was then able to vanish.
We're all gonna get laid.
Heeding his idol's advice, young Rodney then finds the courage to ask out the crush, inviting her to his birthday party and to a movie afterwards.
Thank you, Rodney.
This being a sitcom, there of course had to be an easily resolvable conflict that plagues the main character for the rest of the episode. In this case, the conflict is that Rodney's grandparents will be driving over 300 miles to take him out after his party, and the remainder of the episode deals with him trying to decide whether to gently let down his date or his grandparents.
Rodney, we're going to take you to the best puppet show.
The graveyard is 2 blocks to the left, okay?
To resolve this pressing issue, young Rodney once again summons old Rodney, who suggests a double date.
I don't think Cindy would like that.
Are you kidding? It'd be great. It'll show Cindy you're warm, you're sensitive, and Grandpa'll pick up the check.
Leading to the episode's forced messaging about having respect for your family.
Just remember, kid, be nice to your grandparents, okay? Family's important. Remember, you can't forget your family. A good teacher He really seems to care.
Following the completion of the pilot, NBC decided to pass on Where's Rodney.
I'll tell you the truth. I had it coming to me.
They were in favor of revamping the concept yet again, however, evidently insisting that Dangerfield take on more of a lead role in the project. Rodney, for some reason, still preferred the Where's Rodney format, and the star and the network came to an impasse. Much like he had done on several film deals, Rodney then walked from the project when the network wouldn't compromise.
Then it's on to bigger and better things. Oh, somebody stepping a duck?
NBC aired Where's Rodney to pad out their summer schedule on June 11th, 1990, marketing it as a new Rodney special. It played again the following summer, paired with the unsold Turner and Hooch TV pilot.
Boy, what a happy hour.
Prior to discovering this show, if someone had randomly shown me clips of it, I would swear it was an SNL sketch. Actually, SNL would never do something this weird. It's more like a Mad TV sketch.
You know what I like in a woman?
No.
Me.
But honestly, I think the concept could have made for a really unique show had it been handled differently.
I say leave success alone.
Having Rodney act as a mentor to a kid is a fun idea, something we later got to see in Ladybugs.
Women are like a beautiful bed of flowers. Of course, there's a weed here and there.
But this show just needlessly complicates the way that its two main characters come together. The format really restricts the comedy, as Rodney and Jared don't share any screen time with any of the other characters in their scenes, and it just boils down to the two of them talking in empty rooms. I wish they had just been more inventive with the concept, like if young Rodney had kept visualizing old Rodney as different people or on objects throughout his day. Like maybe one day he's in line in the cafeteria and stressing about a girl, and he looks up and there's Rodney as the lunch lady. Or maybe one morning he's worried about an upcoming test, and Rodney appears on the cereal box in front of him.
And tell the cook this is low-grade dog food, all right?
Just anything other than the two of them talking in a hallway.
No offense.
The show's biggest fault, however, is simply not giving us enough of its star. This, ironically, causes us as the audience to constantly ask, where's Rodney?
Where's Rodney?
But not in a fun sitcom theme song way, but more in a why the hell am I watching a Rodney Dangerfield sitcom that barely features Rodney Dangerfield way.
City, you get too friendly, it's no good, you know.
I'm glad it did get a couple of TV airings though, as otherwise it would not be viewable today. But as interesting as it is to look back on, Where's Rodney is one of the comedian's few endeavors that ultimately deserves
No respect. No respect.